Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so I've shifted my music. I think the last song I was using was kind of throwing off my rhythm, so sorry about that. Okay, so today's video is a little bit sad, but I think it'll help us to understand and learn something I think is really important. So I'm going to start it off here. There's a young lady online, Mary Holgrain, on Facebook. She has a great channel. She has a lot of tattoos, but she is beautiful. She's just, she has an Irish accent. Really talks about Jesus and God. The sad part is a lot of people will judge her because of her tattoos. And these are Christian people. And so it's kind of like, well, like, are you not listening to her spirit? Her spirit, she has the most beautiful heart, beautiful soul. And the way she talks about Jesus and his teachings is just, it's amazing. It is clear this girl has been called to spread the word, spread the message, if you will, okay? And yet Christians come on there and just, oh, well, you know, all those tattoos, I'd never listen to someone like you. It's like, yeah, well, because, I'm responding saying, yeah, it's because you can't hear the Spirit of God through people. And I would comment and said, yeah, you're one of those religious people. You're very rule-oriented, which Jesus... I don't want to say he spoke against it, but he said you're missing, what is the word? He's talking about like the deal and like you piecemeal it out by deal and measure everything to the, perfection extent. So Jesus is trying to get people to understand it's not about rules, it's about understanding, it's about love, it's about compassion. And yet a lot of people in the church to this day still, they just can't grasp it. It's like, just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John really slowly. Like, pay attention to what Jesus is saying. He's saying love. Love is the fulfillment of all the commandments. Now, this video is not necessarily going to be about Jesus and teachings. There's a really important thing I want to share with you. It goes along with all this, though. It's about healing. So I think starting it out this way is a good way to start it because it leads into it. So here's what I wrote posted on her page of this video, and I said, I hear the church constantly tell this story, yet they still don't understand. And so essentially it was this pastor came up, and there was a king, and I don't remember his name, but a long time ago, and somebody was taking money from the money place. I forget what they call it. And they kept doing it, and they said, if you come forward now, you'll only get I think it was 5 lashings or something. And then they stole more money. He goes, if you come forward now, it'll be 10 lashings. And then they stole more, and finally got up to 40 lashings. Well, 40 lashings, as the pastor said, that's basically a death sentence because nobody can survive that. And so when he found out it was his daughter, he's like, well, I said this was going to happen. So they tied her daughter down, and the guy that was going to whip her ripped the back of her shirt open. And the king said, hold on. And he walked over there, and then he tore his shirt off, and he laid over his daughter. He goes, okay, whip my daughter now. And the guy doing it is like, well, I can't. You're in the way. He goes, whip her through me. In other words, he was going to take the lashings, and he did, and he died. So then he said, that's what Jesus did for you. And it is a beautiful story. It's kind of actually hard to tell without crying. So then he talks about Jesus on the cross, how he was choking on his blood, and right before he died, he said, it is finished. And then he said, if he's not finished, then you're not finished. Reversing what Jesus did and what Jesus said. I don't think this pastor is a bad guy. I think he's a really good person. I mean, he really is. He's a good-hearted. He's just a good person. I've never seen him before, but I love the guy. He's a great guy. I'm not talking bad about him at all. So the very first person who posted, let me read it off. All while begging God, our Father in heaven, to forgive us because we know not what we do, etc., etc. And it's kind of like you start reading these postings and they're saying, oh, we're sinners, we're no good, we're like literally people are saying this, like we're sinners, we're no good, we're not worthy. And it's kind of like, how could you miss the point? You are so worthy. that God literally gave his only son to die for you, to cover all your sins. If you believe in that, like that you do this thing wrong, somebody made a rule like, hey, I drew a line on the road, if you cross it, you're breaking a sin. Oh, if you eat shellfish, you made a sin. If you ate pork, you made a sin. Well, by that term, we're all going to go to hell. Yeah, Jesus made it really clear, like, you can't earn your way to heaven. You can't pay off God. You can't live a perfect life. You can't... See, this is where it's misunderstood. He's not saying that you can't be perfect. How do I explain this? See, people take that as, oh, well, we're never going to be perfect. No, that's not what he was trying to say. He's like, look, even if you followed every rule that every man made on the planet perfectly, that's not going to get you to heaven. It's like you're completely misunderstanding. But then people took that and said, oh, we're imperfect. We're never going to be perfect. That's not what Jesus was saying. All right, now listen closely. This is kind of diabolical. It's like he's saying you can't earn your way to heaven. You can't, like, do something or pay God off or live this perfect life. And then, well, God, I did it. I'm perfect. Now I'm going to heaven. God's like, you're missing the point. It's funny because Jesus clearly says it's not about following a set of rules, and yet most people in the churches to this day still believe, like, well, if I follow these rules, God, what is it called? There's a word for that. Then I'm going to get to heaven. I can't remember the word. It's a word I've heard a lot in church, but the thing about it is, it really comes to opening up to God. Adam and Eve hid from God because the serpent tricked them, manipulated them. They got stuck in their left brain because they got stabbed emotionally. They got hurt. They got shamed. And shame causes you to close off from your right brain. Shame, guilt, and fear. And God's saying, hey, come back out. I miss you. I want to be with you guys. I love you. And it said, in Adam and Eve, it said, and they hid. And God called out, Adam, Eve, where art thou? And Adam says, well, we're hiding. God says, why? And Adam says, because we're naked. And God says, who told you that you were naked? Well, it was the narcissistic serpent that said, oh, by the way, you're naked. And they're like, oh, what's naked? Oh, well, naked means you don't have clothes. They're like, well, what is clothes? Well, clothes are these things to cover you up. So, as I always point out in the chapter 2 of Genesis, at the very last, verse 25, it says they were essentially in the garden with God, and it said, and they were naked, and it said, and they were not ashamed. Naked really means you're open to your right brain, you're open to your emotions, your feelings, and your spirit, and therefore you're open to God. So when you close up, that's sin, and that hides you into your left brain. So if you've dealt with a narcissist, you know exactly what that's like. They stab you, and sting you, and you close off from your right brain because that's where you feel emotions. But if you go into your logical brain, well, now you disconnect from your emotions and feelings, but you're hiding from love and God and spirit and the wonderful flavors of life and creativity. Now we're going to go deep here. This is going to be an interesting thing I'm going to say here. So here's how I responded. I hear the church constantly tell this story, yet they still don't understand it. You are free of shame and guilt. The price has been paid, yet they shame each other all day and night long. It's a sick game. Sad, really. Jesus wouldn't even shame you. He would just love you, help you, heal you, not judge you and shame you. I pray one day the church finally understands this. Amen. Now go live free and be happy. Sounds very peaceful, doesn't it? Because it is. That's what Jesus would do. Jesus, like, hey, let go of your shame and fear. Like, let it go. And God just wants you to be happy. Okay, so now let me go into what the video is about. Now, real quick, if you follow my channel a lot, the word sin itself literally means, or in the original language, it literally means to cut off from or to close off from. Again, that's what happens when you deal with a serpent or narcissistic serpent. They sting you emotionally and it hurts really bad. And they're the masters of trapping you and hurting you emotionally. And what happens when you feel that sting, it closes you off from your emotional brain, the right brain, which is also the spiritual brain. It's the open brain to God. So that's open. But when you get stung enough, you hide it from your emotions and feelings because it hurts too much. Like literally, when you break your arm, that's what happens. You go into your left brain, and it basically releases chemicals where you're cut off from feeling as much as you would have. So that's what God said when He said, don't eat of the tree of knowledge, the fruit of the tree of knowledge, because you get stuck in the left brain, and that's when you're disconnected. Okay. And that's sin. Another way of looking at sin is when you're in a state of shame, guilt, fear, or anything negative, that artery narrows in the lower reptilian brain, and when it narrows, it closes you off from your right brain, and thus you're in what we would call sin, meaning you're closed off from God. It has nothing to do with eating pork or not eating pork, or eating shellfish or not eating shellfish. Oh, that's a sin. No, that is a mistranslation. That word is being misused in that context. It literally meant, like, look, back then when they made that rule, and it was a rule for safety and for health, okay? It would be like a personal trainer saying, hey, don't eat that, that's bad for you. It doesn't mean if you eat this, you're going to go to hell, you're a sinner. No, it was like they're pointing out, like, hey, don't eat that because that will kill you. Because back then they didn't know how to clean pork or shellfish and get the toxins and the poison out. It literally would make you extremely ill and could possibly kill you. So now that we know how to clean it, well, we eat it all the time. My point being, a lot of things that people are saying, oh, that's a sin. If you break a sin, you're going to go to hell. Now, even if that was true, even if saying, oh, we could live imperfect, we can't live a perfect life, we're imperfect, then why is it that the people that preach that Jesus came to absolve us from our sins are the same ones who keep saying that we're sinners? Well, Jesus wiped the slate clean. Why don't they understand that? Why don't they see? The whole thing is, if you can keep people in a state of guilt and shame, they will never open back up to God, and that is the sin. And I don't mean like, oh, you're going to go to hell. I mean, it's going to cause your life to be very difficult. You're not going to have that connection with God, with your intuition, period. So, like, why don't we accept this? The whole reason why God sent Jesus was because He realized, after killing all those animals that they did in the Old Testament, killing for this, killing for that, sacrificing a bull, sacrificing, 10 doves or whatever, mankind never opened back up to God. It just didn't work. So God said, I'm going to give you the ultimate sacrifice, and then you can just let go of all your shame and fear. And yet they still don't. They still shame each other. Now watch where I'm going to go with this. I was on the bus the other day. So what I do is I'll get my bike and I'll get on the bus and I'll take it about halfway to San Francisco, and then I get off and I'll ride it through Sausalito and up the hill and then over the bridge, etc. I'm getting kind of old, so I can't exactly do the whole thing like I used to. It was pretty exhausting going all the way from here to there and back. Well, there's this guy that rides the bus. He's probably about 48, 50, 52. He is a complete emotional wreck. I'm gonna use the phrase shut in, although I don't know if that's actually what he is, but he doesn't talk to anybody. He curls up and he sits there and he shakes and he puts his hands over his eyes and he looks around, he puts his hands over his eyes and he shakes and he's looking around in fear. And here's the thing, nothing's happening. Now, because of my background, it's not just my background and my education and training, it's the actual work that I've done with people and the work that's been done on me. It's so funny, is the world falling apart or falling into place? Your perspective creates it, literally. See, here's the deal. Okay, let me read something. I just found this earlier today. I think it was on Facebook. Maybe it was on YouTube. Perception of reality is more real than reality itself. Yeah, it was a short on YouTube. I remember it now. Let me see if I saved it. Hold on. Yeah, I can't find it. So there's these really famous actors, and I think one might have been Leo DiCaprio, but I'm not sure if he was one of them. But so essentially he's in this really like billionaire's home, right? This billionaire. And he's got these like artworks and pieces, and there's one kind of in the middle, and they're encased in this glass or plastic thing, and you can't touch them because they're really, really like uber, like millions of dollars. Like the one in the middle is like, and he walks up and he goes, "Is that real?" And the billionaire goes, he goes, "Yeah, that's real." He goes, "Do you want to touch it?" So it's this creation of something, and I forget the word for it, but it was this really rare artist work, and it was unbelievably expensive. And he goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah." So he opens it up, he pulls it out, and when he goes to put it in his hand, he purposely kind of like rolls it, and it rolls out of the guy's hands, it falls on the ground, and it shatters. And then he looks at him and goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you dropped it. Why would you do that?" And blah, blah, blah. And he's in the kids are going, "Oh my God, shit." And then he goes, and he looks at him. He goes, I forget what he says. And the kid goes, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Oh, so that's not real?" And he goes, "Nah," he goes, "That's fake." I think there were 17 of them in the world. And he goes, "Do you know where they all are?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "They're locked in some basement or something, and they're all encased, and you cannot touch them." He goes, "Trust me." And the kid goes, "Oh, so that was fake?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm not going to put the real one out here." Okay, so yeah, so he said it was locked up in, I found it, it was in a locked up, the real ones are all locked up in a museum. And he goes, "But you thought it was real?" And the kid goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Because perception is more real than reality." The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I help people shift their reality. If there's one thing I'm really good at, it's helping you to shift your reality. When you shift your perception, you see things from different angles. Think of it like being in a room and you see it, or okay, I got a better one. Think of it being you're on the beach and you're looking out towards the ocean, and that's the only direction. You don't turn 1 degree left or 1 degree right. You just look straight forward, and that 1 degree, that's it. But then there's someone look, and you're going, "Man, it's a real beautiful day today. The ocean is crystal clear blue." And there's someone in front of you, facing you, looking behind you, and says, "Well, no, it's actually a beautiful mountainside with beautiful pine trees." And the guy's like, "Pine trees? There's no pine trees. What are you talking about? It's a beautiful blue ocean. The water is calm. We're on a sandy beach." It's like, no, it's a lush green mountain with a valley on the right side and another mountainside on the right of that. And the guy's like, are you insane? What are you talking about?" Now, if you could turn this guy 180 degrees around, he would see it from the other perception. Now, have you ever seen the one, when I used to put an image on my videos where somebody draw a number 6, and from their perspective looking down at the number 6 on the ground, it's a 6, but the other person walks up and says, "No, that's not a 6, that's a 9, because from the other side it looks like a 9. Okay, so in the last few videos, maybe going back about a week or more, but I talked a lot about complex equivalence. It's a neuro-linguistic thing where someone might say, "Well, this means that," and it doesn't mean that at all, but your brain just blindly accepts it without taking a look and saying, "Hey, does that really mean that?" So there's little kind of they're not even tricks, it's just part of our language. Like we just say, "Well, this means that," and your brain goes, "Oh, okay." So for some reason you're wired to accept certain sentences that are put in a specific way. Another one is not complex equivalent, but cause and effect, is this causes that. A lot of times this doesn't cause that, so it's like take a look and say, does that really cause that? Because a lot of times people will say these things to you and you just blindly accept them. Now, I'm going to read that sentence again. Perception of reality is more real than reality itself. Now here's why, because it's like what I wrote. Is the world falling apart, or is the world falling into place? Your perception creates it. This is really important. It can take something that is not real and then create it in real reality. Now, I'm not even talking metaphysics. Just wait till I show you what I'm talking about. So here's this man, completely skinny, not healthy by any means. he probably has someone taking care of him. I'm sure there's no way this guy could survive on his own, but he's every time he's on the bus, he's shivering, and he looks around, he looks back down, he looks at someone with a state of fear, like, are you mad at me? Are you going to hurt me? And so what happens is you can actually pull people into hurting you and to being mean to you if you believe it strong enough, because on an unconscious level, everything you do is going to try to irritate them. And here's the thing, everybody on the bus, they were trying to not even look at this guy, because what he was doing, and I'm not saying he was doing it on purpose to be mean or weird, but we all do this. He was trying to suck us into his reality or into his drama, and thus bring it into reality. So imagine being a young teenage boy or something like that, even in 20s, and this guy keeps looking at you like you're doing something wrong. Oh, you're going to hurt me. Eventually, he's like, dude, what's your effing problem, man? So now he's going, oh my God, the world's dangerous. Oh, this guy just cussed at me. And the thing is, like, okay, this guy actually has a really extreme level of this. And I feel sorry for the guy, but here's the thing. It's not real. Now, I've seen this guy a couple times, not only on the bus, but downtown and around, and he just does this everywhere he goes. Like, he's terrified of everyone because everyone's beating him up. Now, here's the thing. I am sure when he was a child, he probably got knocked around and got, just yelled at all the time and humiliated and just berated. And it was probably a pretty severe thing. And what happens is, okay, you know how I talk about parts a lot, or charges? So when you're a little kid, you get these parts because like something bad happens, someone hits you, or a big noise goes off, bang, or whatever, the first day of kindergarten, your parents leaving, you're freaking out, and it creates this part. So the core you, imagine it just being a ball of energy or water or fluid, and it takes a little droplet and it shoves it outside of the bubble and says, you deal with it. Well, that charge takes on the reality of, oh, life is dangerous and this is dangerous, and so therefore this part begins to develop the strategy on how to deal with this danger or this fear. So essentially with this guy, he probably has a bunch of parts that are reactive in this way, and what a part will do is, okay, you ever heard of the ego? Okay, watch this. So here's what the ego is. It's the tip of this V that I keep talking about. When you're going the left brain, you're looking through an ego, and you're at the tip. So that part goes into this right here, and it goes down into the tip, and it gets stuck. And now you're looking through that very narrow little kind of view, like looking through a microscope, and everything in your world appears to be this reality, and it's not reality at all. It's like, so the guy's sitting on the bus, he's curled up, he's got his hands covering his eyes, he kind of peeks out and looks around, and he's shaking and stuff, and he's kind of freaking out, and he does this every day, every time I've seen him, for years around here. And the thing about it, I was just looking at him like, it's not real. I mean, this, like, nobody's hitting him. Nobody has ever harmed him. Nobody downtown. I've never seen anyone yell at the guy. It's literally all in his head. And my dad used to say that to me in my early 20s. He goes, Michael, it's all in your head. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, Michael, it's not real. It's all in your head. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So on this consciousness chart, it's the same thing as the V I had. At the top is the ultimate conscious, pure Tao, flow, getting by, etc. And love is at the very top there, almost the top, the fourth one. And as you go down, the energy becomes condensed and, look at what it says, contracted. And love at the top left is expanded. So all the techniques I teach, the breathing techniques, especially the internal awareness techniques, what they do is they expand your awareness and therefore open you up to love in higher states. So you know how you get stuck on a problem, like let's say there's something you want, like a pen, even though you got 10 of the same pen in the drawer, but you want this one pen because you've already started using it and you don't want to get a new one out of the box, and you end up looking for 20 or 30 minutes and you're late for your meeting. It's because you're at the tip of this point here and you're stuck. And when you're at the tip, whatever's in there, whatever part is in there, you think that's life and this is your reality and nothing can change it. It's a really diabolical thing. It's not real. Just learn how to, like as Jesus said, get behind thee, Satan, turn the V around and go to the open end. Now you have all these options and possibilities, and you're more open, expanded, and you have not only much greater awareness, but greater clarity. So the work I do with people, we do something called reframing. We will reframe a lot of this and it'll pop you right out of it. So it won't be like one reframe. We'll do a series of them. We'll check into your belief changes and we'll start to shift you and pop you out of this stuck point where it's called the alpha point. So what I'll do with you is I'll get you to shift your perspective and see it from not just the opposite, but then from the 181, 182, or 179 degrees perspective, or 130, 140, 90 degrees perspective. I like to shift people all the way around, then up above it at different perspectives, up and above, over and top, from front to back, then left to right, then underneath, and look at it from underneath and up, to shift and see it from different perspectives. And also, you know, wait a minute, that's not what I thought it was at all. And all of a sudden you let go of the fear, of the pain, or functioning in a certain way that wasn't supportive of you. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. So I do not remember where I met these people or how I got involved in this group, but it was called Adult Children of Alcoholics, and it was called like ACHA or something, like ACA or something, and there was another word for it. And somebody convinced me to do it. Now I'm going to Tony Robbins and learning about NLP, and I'm having an open eye. Sure, I'll check it out. But my first thing I said is like, man, well, I don't do drugs. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's a 12-step program, right? Isn't that for alcoholics and drug addicts? Like, I don't even drink. I haven't drank in 2 years. I'm training. I'm an athlete. And they're like, no. Like, you know, you really need to go. It's for adult children of alcoholics. Now, this person didn't even know me. He didn't know my background, but he just assumed. But he had this belief that, and he told me later on, like, everybody needs to go to a 12-step program. Everybody's effed up. And I'll tell you right now, believe it or not, there are people on the planet that are very, very healthy. I'm not saying it's the majority, but there are quite a few people that are very healthy emotionally. Oh yeah, so you know, I at this point, I hadn't gone to a Tony Robbins seminar yet. So I went to this meeting and I was trying to learn. I'm reading Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, and I think I bought a home study, NLP home study course, and I think I bought Tony Robbins' home study course too. It was like 12 boxes with 2 cassettes in, etc. And I was just fired up. I'm in college, you know, I'm just going for it. And I'm in these meetings, and they were very depressing. I mean, there wasn't a single meeting where people were happy. It was just life sucks, and my parents did this, and it was just this real kind of downtrodden kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of why I don't want to go to these things. So I kind of tried to introduce some of these concepts from Tony Robbins' book, like, hey, you know, but your life doesn't have to be like that. And they were kind of shut me down. Oh, Michael, you know, you're young, you should learn from us. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, so, you know, just kind of shut down. And I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, the UPW seminar, where the firewalk seminar, where you walk on fire, right? And man, that seminar, I was fired up, and I can't, yeah. And I mean, I was going fast, and my energy was just blasting. And so I was like, oh yeah, that meeting's tonight. So this was probably like a week later, 5 days later after I got home from the seminar, whatever it was. And I went in there and I'm listening to these people. They were just like, you could see how dark their energy was. So you know how I keep talking about how beliefs, rules, and values become filters? Because they are filters, okay? Because your brain can't handle everything. So it deletes, distorts, and generalizes things, meaning cuts out a lot of information. And you begin to look down this one filter and say that's reality, even when it's not. So when you get a belief, where do you think that belief goes? Yep, at the tip of this V. And it's like you're looking through this scope and everything looks like whatever's in that filter. So for men and women, one of the things, if you've had a bunch of bad relationships, it's kind of like, well, all men are bad or all women are I was going to say good. All women are good. But you get the point, though, is, you know, a lot of men will be like, oh, you know, all women, they're just cheaters. All they care about is money and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, that's not true. But when they're looking through the tip of that V with that belief, that's what they see. And there's nothing you can say to them unless they turn around and get to the other end. They won't see any other possibility. You could literally make a robot wife for this guy who's the most loyal, faithful, good, caring robot wife, and if he's looking through the belief of all women are cheaters, even that robot wife that's never cheated, that's always been loyal, and it's programmed into her not to cheat, he's going to see all, and it doesn't allow them to see the other possibilities and the other options. So a huge part of my work is shifting your perspective to the open end, so you can start seeing both the good and the bad. And what have I been telling you about narcissist abuse? Like, hey, one thing we learn is you can't just look at people and always look for the good in people. You've got to see the good, the neutral, and the bad. You got to see both the good and the bad in everyone you meet and make your decision from there. But if you're stuck in the tip of something, you're like, all people are this way, like, oh, you always have to look for, that's a belief, you always have to look for the good in people, then what happens is you delete all the negative stuff and you only see the good. So a lot of empaths end up getting hurt really bad because we're essentially raised to always look for the good in people or always see the good in people, which means, you know, you don't see the bad. Even like literally, I had literally been stabbed in the leg at a high school dance, and when I finally met this guy, I'm like, who did it? Why did he do it? It was like a week later, I went up and gave the guy a hug because I couldn't see any bad in him. The guy, I don't think he was trying to kill me, but he was trying to hurt me, and this is someone I'd never even met before. So how did I respond? I gave him a hug and didn't even call the cops. I do admit that kind of the look in his face was just, it wasn't horror, but it was confusion, shock. He was just like, wait, what? Because in high school, I was one of the toughest guys in town. I really was. It was like, I think I was benching like 320 pounds or 325 pounds in high school. And it was just like, I was this really tough guy, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling with the state championship, captain of the football team. And here I go and hug this dude, and because I could tell he thought I was going to try to kick his ass or fight him. And when I reached out and gave him a big old hug and said, hey man, my name's Mike, you know, it's nice to meet you, etc., etc., he just stared at me like, wait, what? It confused him. So that may have had a life-changing impact on him where he doesn't stab people anymore. Who knows? Sorry, I got off path there. But the point being is, it's not a very smart thing to be nice to people who are stabbing you with knives. But here's the deal. Back then, I really forgave everyone at the drop of the hat and went up and hugged them and made friends with them. And a lot of people just looked at me like, something's not right with that dude. And now I would agree, because you have to realize if someone's dangerous, they're dangerous. So that's one of the things empaths have to learn. Just put up boundaries to people, put up barriers, like refuse to talk to them or acknowledge them, or, you know, depending on who they are and what they do to you. And it's a very hard thing for kind, loving, open-hearted people to do it. But once you get good at it, your life improves. So here I've been helping people shift their perspectives to come to the open end, to the right brain, to expand their awareness and see more options. Like, okay, that person was bad to me. This person's actually very nice and this and this, that. But when you have an assumption, it goes in the tip of that V, like all people are mean to me. Somebody could literally be nice to you and you would believe, oh, that person's mean to me, so I'm going to get away from them. It was just like my belief whenever a cute girl would smile at me, I really believed they were going to set me up and they were going to hurt me somehow. Now, obviously that wasn't true. Now, in other words, not with 100%, maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20, I don't know, maybe 1 out of 50. But the point being is, back then I literally was afraid of every woman or girl that smiled at me. I thought, oh, they're going to hurt me, because of the way I was raised. Every time I was about to get the shit kicked out of me, my mother would smile at me or my sister would. And so that got locked in. Now, was it real? No. For some, but not. In other words, you're blind. So what we want to do is we want to get you to open up. So my whole purpose of this message is, when Jesus said, get behind thee, Satan, he's taking that V and he's turning it around, putting the tip behind you, and now your eyes open up and you see in peripheral vision, you see the bigger picture, and you see more options and possibilities. Okay, I got it. So when you're in a state of guilt or shame or fear, where do you think you are at when it comes to that V? Yeah, you're stuck inside the tip of the V, and all you see is shame and guilt. And this is why you get these Christians saying, oh, I'm a sinner, I'm no good. And not only that, but they were given the wrong definition of the word sin. A lot of Christians, when I explain, they're like, oh, really? Huh. And they start to reevaluate every belief they've had going back to when they were a child when it comes to feeling guilty about God. God, I'm telling you right now, God does not want you to be guilty because it puts you at this tip, which closes you off from God. In fact, when God went out into the garden and looked for Adam and Eve, said, where art thou? He wasn't saying, feel shame and hide from me now. He wasn't saying that. He's like, where are you? Why are you hiding? What's going on? He essentially like, hey, come hang out. Let's go create something today. Let's be together. So when you have Christians running around guilting and shaming each other and other people and saying you're not worthy of the Lamb, you're not worthy of the Lord, you're not worthy of this or that, it's like, what do you? And you're a sinner, you're etc. You're imperfect. I'm going to tell you right now, the real you, the core you are perfect. God made you perfect. You are beautiful to God. God knows that if you feel fear, shame, and guilt, you're going to close off from the right brain, which means you're sinning, which means you're closed off from God. You literally closed off from. God wants you to open up and be with God. The people that are trying to get you to close off from God and say you're a sinner, you're not worthy, well, that's how they feel about themselves. So here you come along all happy and not crappy, and they're just like, hey man, you're a sinner, you're going to hell, you're no good. I'll tell you right now, I know that I'm worthy of God. I know that I'm worthy of God's love. God showed me. God told me. It's obvious. Okay, so I go to Tony Robbins' seminar. What Tony Robbins is really good at is getting you to open up to the options and possibility, getting you to open up to your right brain. And here's the thing, you're fired up, you're looking at all options and possibilities, you're seeing like, oh no, you're just looking down this little narrow thing, and that's not all of reality, that's one sliver, that's only 1 degree of reality. So here I remember about this ACA meeting, and I go bouncing in all alive and passionate, and life is awesome. And I'm hearing these people like, oh, woe is me, woe is me, oh, woe is me, 12-step, programs. And I eventually just kind of burst out and say, I've got something to say. Let me tell you something. Oh my God, I can't believe I said this. I said, you don't need to come to this group. This isn't helping you. You can actually, and I just started like listing off all these things, and I noticed like everyone was like, how to explain this? Here I am excited about life, and they're just looking at me pissed. No one's saying a word. They have these dead eyes. It's like essentially what I was doing was I was blowing the lies that they were living by. I was revealing them, and they couldn't deny it. It's like, here I am. It's like, no, this isn't true. Blah, 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 blah. And they're just going, oh, shit. So here's the thing that blew my mind. They didn't even, and I like, just buy his book, Awaken the Giant Within. Now, I was pretty naive back then, thinking, well, everybody wants to change their life. And let me tell you what, these people had zero intentions of letting go of their drama, letting go of their perceived reality. They didn't want to even seek any possibility of finding happiness, light, love, prosperity, and just enjoying life. They're like, no, this is reality. This is the way it is. Now here's the deal. That's not true at all, but that's the belief and perception that they were literally clinging to and grasping onto and holding onto as tight as possible. And because of that, they weren't willing to read a book, read a chapter, read a page. They weren't willing to even listen to one tape or take one little step because they're like, no, that's not my belief. That's outside of my belief, and I don't like that. I like my belief, and I'm going to hold on to it. You got to understand, your perceptions literally create your reality by the actions you do take and the actions you don't. And they affect the people that are around you. Like the guy on the bus, he was trying to irritate people and suck them into his work. And the thing about it is, I remember just like, whoa, man, I can't even look at this guy. His energy was just like irritating me. And so that will cause people to be mean to you. and then all of a sudden he says, see, my belief is this, and now I created this, therefore my reality is real. And it's like, no, it's not, buddy. You worked really, really hard. And he does. He spends a lot of energy trying to get people to hate him and be mean to him and recreate this childhood experience that he had. You know, one thing that I had, I really believed that people hated me, and I really did. And here's the thing, like, people would, now I didn't see it back then, and I do remember people trying to say, Michael, like, this person really likes you, and I would argue, like, no, they don't. So somebody could literally give me a genuine compliment, say, hey, you're really good at that, or, you know, blah, 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 and I would like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, and I'd walk away thinking, man, that person hates me. You lose a lot of opportunities in life based on these false beliefs. If you're going to have beliefs, if you're going to have rules, make sure that they support you, because unconsciously you're going to work hard to make that reality true. That's the way your unconscious mind works. It goes, oh, okay, so this is what we believe. These are our rules. These are our values. Oh, okay. And it goes to work creating this environment around you. Your perception creates your reality. So start choosing your perceptions that create the reality that you want. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but you can hire someone like me who can shift and change your perceptions, and we can literally begin to pick, well, what do you want? Now, when I take you through this pattern, I will ask you questions for what purpose, and boom, your perceptions that you want are already inside you, and they start to come out. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And as always, you can go ahead and support this channel by making a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. And you can also buy one of my dating and relationship books for men or for women. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.